Now, I've always been a massive advocate of physical media, and I go into CEX a lot and I have a look at their games, and I'll generally only buy physical games unless it's a yearly release like FIFA, for example, which I always pick up digitally because I just can't be bothered to be changing the discs all the time knowing that I'm going to be playing that game a lot. And of course, with the introduction of Game Pass and the fact that there are a lot of games now just readily available at the click of a button, and the fact that physical media is dying out, essentially, a lot less physical releases coming out, everyone is being pushed towards digital. We've had this discussion loads, right? And I've always pushed back against it. I don't really play digital games. I'll play the odd Game Pass game, and of course I will buy FIFA, but apart from that, everything else I buy physically. I'm not really moving away from it. I'm still going to go to CEX. I'm still going to buy physical games. I'm still going to buy new releases. But having just scrolled for hours on the Xbox Marketplace, I have found some games that are cheaper than their physical counterparts, and some games that don't even have physical copies. So, without any further ado, let's get into the first game. We're going to start off with an absolute banger. Now, this isn't a banger for the price. This is just a banger for how good the game is. This is Mortal Kombat XL. Big fan of this game. I have it on Steam. I have had it on Xbox before. I've played it a fair bit over the years. It is a whopping £8 in CEX, but ladies and gentlemen, save yourself £2. Buy it on Xbox for £6. I know we're not starting off with a massive saving. It was just the first game that I actually saw, and I thought, hey, £6 for that game. That's not a bad price, because it's one of those that you will continue to go back to. Okay, you won't be playing it week in, week out for years to come, although some of you do, I'm sure, but someone like me will dip in and out of this game as and when. It's one of those. Oh, I'll pick it up and play it for 20 minutes, and then I'll forget about it for a few weeks, and then I'll come back to it. And I know a big draw of physical games, besides looking pretty on the shelf, is the fact that you can resell them and trade them, and with digital you can't. So is a £2 differential even worth mentioning for something that you're stuck with forevermore? I don't know. You'll have to answer that question yourself. This next one is completely out of my scope of knowing anything about it. I don't think it has an Xbox physical release, but it does have a PlayStation 4 physical release. This is Final Fantasy VIII Remastered. This on the PlayStation in CEX is £18, but if you want it on the Xbox and you're not too bothered about having it physical, then it's going to be far cheaper to buy it on the Xbox Marketplace because it's only £6.39. And this is a game I've never heard of, but I'm actually going to buy after I make this video. This is called Killer Frequency. If you're on the PlayStation, you can get it for a tenner on the PS5, but if you're on the Xbox and you want it digitally, it's going to run you £7.34, which is cheaper than the £15 that CEX are charging physical. And of course, the Switch have to be special, and they've racked their price up to £18. But this game seems a little bit, I wouldn't say unique necessarily, but you are a radio DJ doing a night shift, and you start getting these calls that there's killers in the house, and you need to help these people navigate the house and solve puzzles in order to survive. You'll end up going down into the basement of the radio station to find things to help people, and of course if you make the wrong decision, the person on the other end of the line will pay the price. So it does seem like a really interesting concept. I like the art style. The music sounds very Arcade Paradise. It's almost like an 80s. I think it is based in 1987 actually, but it looks really, really good, and it's definitely something I'm going to be picking up before this goes back up to £21, which will probably happen by the time you're watching this video, knowing my luck. One more game before I talk about something that isn't available physical, and that is Manhunt. Now, this game is notorious for how graphic it is. It's made by Rockstar, of course, so you know it's a good game, but it's one of those that just keeps rising in price on the PS2 and indeed on the original Xbox. If you want to pick it up on the original Xbox in CEX, it's going to cost you £20. If you go to the Xbox Marketplace, however, it's £11.99. Not saying it's worth it, but if you're willing to pay £20 for it, you should be willing to pay £12 for it. Now, again, I know, and I'm going to reiterate this throughout the video, I know a big draw of physical media is how pretty they look on the shelf. And having Manhunt in your collection is one of those staples that you need to have, right? And having a digital collection isn't really impressive at all, because who can you show it to? And that's kind of the whole shtick of a physical collection. It's the nostalgia of having physical media, and it's being able to see them on the shelf, whereas digital, it's just stored away on an Xbox that no one sees and ever knows that you own. I get it, but if you want to play it, £8 cheaper to buy it digitally. So a big set of Resident Evil games have gone on sale, and now it's time to quickly run through them. There were more on sale, but as I've probably mentioned already in this video, things have changed in the last 24 hours. So up first is Resident Evil Revelations. This will run you £18 if you were to go into CEX, buy it physical on the Xbox One, but if you buy it digitally right now, it's only £3.99. And it is a very similar story for Resident Evil 4. Not the remake version, but the original version ported over to the Xbox. This will run you 15 quid physical in CEX, but it is just $3.99 on the Xbox Marketplace. Sticking with the theme of Resident Evil, I'm going to be dipping in and out of that a little bit here, but I'm going to talk about Code Veronica X very briefly because this didn't have a physical release, but you can buy it digitally for the whopping price of $2.99. Sticking with Resident Evil, the original, the very best, not in my opinion, the second one is the best, but Resident Evil on the Xbox, you can get it physical in the Origins collection. It actually comes with Resident Evil 0 as well, but if you want just the game, digitally right now, it's $3.99, and that goes the same for Resident Evil 0 as well. That is $3.99, so you can get both of those for 8 quid, as opposed to the 12 that you'd have to pay in CEX to get them physical. And I know I'm using CEX prices. If you go on eBay or Vinted or a boot sale or any other sort of pawn shop type place, yes, you could probably find them cheaper. However, I used CEX because it's kind of like a very easy database to find prices for, right? So that's why I'm going back and forth with them. Now, this next one is quite possibly the biggest saving on the list. This one is absolutely outrageous. And this just goes to show that the people who, not the people, but some of the people who collect physical games are only collecting them for the value of them, because this is an absolute steal, right? So this is Asura's Wrath. Now, in CEX, without the manual, the very cheapest version you can get of this game, 40 quid. With the manual, I think it's like 42, and mint is like 50. Digitally right now, ready? $2.99. Why are you buying it physical? Like, I'm all for preservation. I'm all for collecting things and having them on display on the shelf and looking pretty and everything and building out a nice collection with really big hitting games. But for $2.99 compared to 40, 50 quid, I mean, come on, just buy it digitally. But then again, you could argue, and I will do because devil's advocate, why not? You buy this game $2.99 and they lose the rights to it. You can't play it anymore. It's happened in the past. You can't argue that that isn't a realistic thing that's going to happen, because it has happened. You can't play it anymore. Yes, you've bought it. Yes, you own it, but you don't. You've only owned the license to it. They've lost the license, so have you. You can't play it. And now the physical copy is 150 quid, and you should have just bought the physical copy at 40 back when I made this video. I get that argument, I absolutely do, but if you just want to play it for $2.99 until you can find it cheaper than CEX prices physically, I would just buy it digitally. $2.99 is an absolute bargain compared to £40 plus. Don't know how long this deal is going to be around. This is Call of Juarez Gunslinger. This didn't have a physical release as far as I can tell. I'm pretty sure it did on the Switch. It was like 2019 maybe, they ported it over to the Switch. I've got no idea how well the port went across, and let's be honest, I've spoken about this in a recent video actually, third-party games on the Switch do not run well, so unless you have a Switch 2, this game probably doesn't look or run particularly well at all. But you can't get this physical on the Xbox 360 or anywhere else for that matter, and it is only $1.99 right now on the Xbox Marketplace if you want to play it. And I realise, of course, that I am strictly talking Xbox here, but I was just browsing the Xbox Marketplace. I have an Xbox, therefore I was browsing it, and that's where I've got all these prices from. Of course, it might be different if you're on a PlayStation, or if you do have a Switch, or if you don't have any console at all and you're on Steam, and you're laughing at me because all these prices on Steam are like a third of what I'm telling you they are right now, right? So obviously your platform is your own, but because I'm on Xbox, that's why the video is geared around Xbox prices. I'll mention this quickly, despite the fact that this price probably won't change, and if it does, it's only going to come down, like Manhunt did, which is a win-win, right? But this is Rumble Roses XX. In CEX, if you were to buy a physical copy, it would cost you 40 quid without the manual. Definitely one of those games that people don't really enjoy playing that much, but they want in their collection because it's a expensive game. I know 40 quid for a game isn't really expensive, but it is. You get the idea. But if you want to buy this on the Xbox Marketplace, $11.99. So if you are one of those people who just want to play it, and you know that you'll go back to it every now and again, because to be fair, it's not a terrible game. I quite enjoyed it from what I can remember playing of it back in the day. $11.99 as opposed to 40. What are you going to choose? I might as well talk about this one because I am a big fan of it. This is DuckTales Remastered. This game on the PlayStation, physical, in CEX, £55. Digitally on the Xbox Marketplace, £2.49. I mean, you cannot go wrong with that if you want to play a little bit of nostalgia more than anything else. It's a good game as well, to be fair, can't knock it for £2.50. This video did not go according to plan. I had a whole host of games to show you that were down in price that have now changed, and if you're watching this a day after it comes out, maybe they've changed again. You need to be very, very quick when it comes to these deals. Some of the ones that you missed out on, and I missed out on incidentally, Streets of Rage 4, yesterday when I recorded this, was £7.34 and it's now £21. This one hurts me a little bit. So this is Sifu. It's available on Game Pass at the moment, but it won't be on Game Pass forever, and it was down at just £10.04, which was such a good price, and I probably would have bought it at the end of the month had it stayed that price. It's now up to like 26 quid, which is basically on par with a physical copy, so now there's no point buying it anymore. When it was £10 though, that was a great deal, and I'm a little bit annoyed about that one. The Resident Evil triple pack gave you Resi 4, 5 and 6 was £9.99. That was a pretty damn good deal considering you can't buy Resi 4 physical unless you buy the Xbox One version, which is like 15 quid by itself. It was £9.99, now back up to 40 quid. So that's annoying as well. Not sure if anyone would have actually bought this, but the Descenders, which is that sort of downhill biking game, yeah, that was £4.99 digitally. It's now gone back up to like 15 quid or something. And there were a few other games that are not quite as good deals, but still they've gone back up to full price anyway. Very, very frustrating times. But if you want any of these, you need to act now. You can't just think, well, I'll wait a few days and then I'll buy it. If you have any desire to buy these games at all, you need to buy them now because they will probably change in price by the time you come to buy them. I'm heading to CEX very soon and I will record a video while I'm there, and of course that will be out for you in a few days time where we can spend some credit and have a real look around, see if they have any Switch 2 stuff in stock. If you'd like to check out another video in the meantime from me, you can click here, and until the next time, goodbye.